Hey guys, Aaron Farmer here with My Sugar-Free Journey, and we are on day 9 of the 28-day sugar-free or ketogenic weight loss challenge. Today we're going to talk about how insulin drives weight gain. So how exactly does this happen? The answer is a little technical, but I think it's fascinating, and I think by the time we get through these next 2 days, you're going to have a much better understanding of what's going on, how your body decides what fuels that you give it to use for fuel right then, and what it decides to store, and you're going to be able to make much smarter decisions about what foods to eat. So it used to be thought that your fat stores were kind of an energy bank, that your body was packing away those pounds in a kind of long-term storage for the day when you were starving or dieting or exercising or whatever and just needed the extra energy for something. We now know that this isn't quite true. Energy from your fat stores are constantly flowing in and out of your bloodstream to be used as fuel, and if you don't need it right then, it goes right back into your fat cells. So the reason that we've been told that energy from carbohydrates, the glucose that carbohydrates get broken down into, is the body's preferred source of energy, is because your body will use energy from glucose first because it wants to keep your blood sugar at a constant level. Your body uses this energy first before it uses the fat. So now we're starting to see the root of the obesity issue. So imagine you eat a standard American diet meal consisting of roughly equal parts of dietary fat, protein, carbohydrates. Those are the three main micronutrients. Your body quickly goes about the business of digesting and breaking down this food into a form it can use to perform all of the metabolic processes that it needs to perform. Protein is broken down into amino acids, which your body uses for all the different things that it needs to use amino acids for. If you eat more protein than your body can use right then, it undergoes a process called gluconeogenesis where it gets converted into glucose, and your body at that point treats it just like it would a carbohydrate. The fat is broken down into fatty acids, and while a certain amount is quickly used for the different metabolic processes that require fatty acids, it is mostly just set aside into the fat cells while our body deals with the carbohydrates. The carbs you eat is where the process begins to take shape, and your understanding of what happens when you eat will begin to get a little bit clearer. So carbs are broken down by the liver into glucose, which raise your blood sugar level. Your body doesn't like your blood sugar level to be too high, so it devotes most of its energy to normalizing your blood sugar. The first thing it does is to take this glucose to every cell in the body and give it a chance to use it for fuel. However, if you ate too many carbs for you to use as fuel right then, your body still has to get that sugar out of the bloodstream. And to do that, it needs help from the real villain in our weight loss story, the hormone insulin. Insulin does several things in the body, but its most critical role is that it controls your blood sugar levels. You might be familiar with insulin if you or someone you know has type 1 diabetes or is an insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic. In order to deal with the increase in blood sugar, insulin is secreted by the pancreas, or it's injected if your pancreas is impaired, and signals the cells in the body to increase the rate at which they pull glucose out of the bloodstream. Some cells burn the glucose immediately, and some store it for later use. Liver and muscle cells store it in the form of glycogen for later use, and fat cells store it as fat for later use. As your blood sugar decreases, your insulin levels decrease, and your body goes back to pulling energy in and out of fat cells for all of the metabolic processes that it needs to power. That's why you can sleep for, say, 8 hours through the night and not wake up hungry at midnight, because your body is using that stored fat for fuel. Okay, so if fat is flowing constantly in and out of fat cells, so why does it seem like more is going in than coming out? The answer to that, we have to look a little more closely at how the body stores fat. There are two different types of fat your body deals with. The first is fatty acids. This type of fat flows easily in and out of cells, and that's what your body uses for fuel. The second type is triglycerides, and this is the fat that your body stores, and it's composed of 3 fatty acids linked to a glycerol molecule. So if you can imagine the capital letter E, where the vertical stroke is the glycerol molecule, and the 3 tines that are coming off the vertical stroke are the three fatty acids that make up a triglyceride. That's the tri in triglyceride. The reason your body burns fatty acids for fuel is because the fatty acids are small enough to pass through the membranes surrounding the fat cells so that your body has easy access to it. Once a fatty acid is linked to two other fatty acids and a glycerol molecule and becomes a triglyceride, it's too big to pass through the cell membrane, so it just stays put. So you can think of a triglyceride as a piece of furniture that's too big to be moved from one room to another in your house, and it has to be deconstructed while in the first room so that it can be brought out piece by piece into the next room. So once a triglyceride is in your fat cell, it will stay in that form until the body calls for it to be deconstructed and pulled out. So, it's pretty much stuck there. Because your body won't begin to break down triglycerides into fatty acids for fuel if there's a lot of other things that your body can use for fuel instead, namely glucose. So if you have constantly high blood glucose levels because you're always eating carbohydrates, your body won't begin to break down those triglycerides for fuel. So here's the crux of the issue. Anything that pushes fatty acids and glucose into cells where they can be converted into triglycerides makes you fatter. But anything that speeds up the process of breaking down triglycerides into its component parts and lets it out of the fat cell makes you leaner. This is why people tend to slowly gain weight over the years, because more and more fat and sugar get converted into these triglycerides, and as long as you give your body a continuous stream of glucose, your body has no reason to break down those triglycerides for fuel. So tomorrow we'll look at exactly what controls this metabolic process so that we can reverse it. All right, appreciate you guys. Come on over to the blog. Leave any comments if you would like to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. Appreciate it. We will talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.